Uh, Sir, do you have a brief profile of Indrani, sir?
You just start. I'll tell about Indrani. No problem.
Okay, okay, okay. I just start.
Yes.
Yeah. A good evening to all of you. Indian Society for the Promotion of English Language and Literature welcomes you all today on the occasion of 35th Sunday Literary Satsang at 4 p.m. just now, and with the kind permission of the President, Dr. Jyoti Patil, and our organizing secretary, Dr. G. A. Gansham, we announce the beginning and commencement of this 35th satsang. The topic is today the role of soft skills in academic effectiveness. We can see here, I welcome the keynote speaker, Dr. Binod Mishra, who is a professor of English, Department of HSS, IIT Roorkee, Uttarakhand. We are really blessed to have such a keynote person from such a premier institute of repute today with us. We have the chairperson of today, Dr. Jitendra Jain, who is the associate professor of English, H.B. Patil, Rashtra Arts and Commerce College, Ahmedabad. I welcome you too, sir, on this board. We have the Master of Ceremony today, Dr. A. Shobharani, who is Associate Professor of English, Mala Reddy Engineering College, Autonomous, Hyderabad, Telangana. And we have moderator today, Indrani Borkar, Assistant Professor of English, Government Engineering College, Bilaspur, Chhattisgarh. And I myself as event coordinator, hailing from Indore, welcome you all. And with the theme, Facilitate to Elevate. And I request the moderator and the computer of the program I hand over the mic to the moderator to please commence. I welcome you all again, and
Thank you very much, Sasdeva sir.
Yes,
Indeed, it's an honor and pleasure to have Dr. Binod Mishra as one of the keynote speaker of today's Sunday Literary Satsang. And we have with us Indrani Borkar, who is going to moderate the entire session. Let me introduce Miss Indrani Borkar. Indrani Borkar is the Assistant Professor of English in the Department of English, Government Engineering College, Bilaspur. She has published many research papers in the national and international journals and has organized many of the FDPs, and she is working for the betterment of the students in the engineering colleges, and also she has taken up some of the projects related to soft skill development of the students of engineering college. So this particular topic is of great interest of her. So without much ado, I would like to hand over this particular stage of iSPELL to Indrani Borkar. Over to you, Indrani.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, everyone. I extend my warm welcome to all of you present over here. I welcome all of you in this 35th Sunday Literary Satsang organized by Indian Society for the Promotion of English Language and Literature. iSPELL was formed on 5th of September 2020 with motto, Facilitate to Elevate. It is a group of academicians from every level to communicate with each other. It is a great space to share the similar love and taste for the English language and literature. The topic of today's literary satsang is role of soft skills in academic effectiveness. As Charles Dickens once said, it is not the strongest or the most intelligent who will survive, but those who can best manage changes. Yes, that's true. The world is too competitive nowadays. Soft skills enable a person to adjust to the frustrations and challenges they will encounter in their lives, as well as the demands of work. Mastering soft skill helps a person to learn, to live, and to work better. For today's event, we have Dr. A. Shobharani with us as a Master of Ceremonies. She is an Associate Professor of English in Malareddy Engineering College, Hyderabad, Telangana. She has more than 16 years of teaching experience at intermediate, undergraduate, and post-graduation level in English as a second language. She has published 10 research papers in international journals and presented 7 research papers in various international conferences. She has translated the English version of an autobiography of the first IAS officer of Telangana into Telugu. It was titled The Alchemy of Life. Her areas of research include Indian English literature, language, translation studies, and linguistics. She is an English language trainer, soft skill and communication skills trainer, and enthusiast in research and publication, and learner motivation. I welcome her, and ma'am, stage is yours now.
Thank you so much, Indrani. That's a lovely introduction and a very admiring tone you have exhibited. Thank you very much again. Good evening, everyone. In fact, I'm very much honored to be part of this literary satsang, especially with the eminent personality from a reputed institute of India. I'm really privileged to honor you, sir, Binod Mishra, sir. I never dreamt that this kind of association I'm going to make it till now. So very privileged stage for me. Indeed, I'm honored to introduce you, sir. Dr. Binod Mishra, Professor of English at IIT Roorkee. His areas of research on Mulkraj Anand, and he has served as a faculty at various reputed institutions and contributed academically in many national and international journals and conferences. Starting his career in 1995 from Mazuli of Assam, then he moved to Bits Pilani, Rajasthan, where his tenure was 6 years before joining into IIT Roorkee, Uttarakhand. He has joined at IIT Roorkee, Uttarakhand in 2007. He has published 23 books, among which 17 edited and 6 authored, on various aspects of English language and literature. One of his books, entitled Communication Skills for Engineers and Scientists, which is the 6th reprint published from Prentice Hall of India, now is used as a textbook and reference book in many reputed institutions and universities. He is also credited with 2 poetry collections, namely Silent Steps and Other Poems, 2011, and Multiple Waves, 2017. He has supervised 9 PhDs and 16 more are pursuing under his eminent supervision. Besides books, Professor Mishra has published more than 100 papers, 80 poems, and 21 books, book reviews in his esteemed journals. He has conducted 10 workshops, conferences, and presented many papers in at least 50 conferences of national and international importance. Besides delivering around 85 talks in various conferences, workshops, and FDPs, he has visited several countries, namely Japan, Malaysia, France, Poland, and Czech Republic. He is also part of a significant, massive open online courses, namely soft skills and effective writing. His course on soft skills is being rerun consecutively for the 5th time, and the other course entitled Effective Writing, floated into 2020, is being rerun again in 2021. He has conducted more than a dozen quality improvement programs and 3 technical education quality improvement programs, workshops at IIT Roorkee. He is associated with several literary bodies. Professor Mishra is also on the editorial advisory board of many reputed journals and DOE is member of several universities. He is elected twice as an editor-in-chief of Indian Journal of English Studies for 6 years. He presently holds the position of Vice Chairman, Association for English Studies of India. It was earlier named as IAES. Professor Mishra has been the recipient of several prestigious awards, namely AIMS, International Distinguished Service Award 2008. That is Indian Business Academy, 29th December at New Delhi. AIMS International Outstanding Editor Award in 2009 in Bangalore, IIM Bangalore on 21st December 2009. And Excellence in World Poetry Award on 5th January 2010 by International Poets Academy, Chennai, India. In addition, International Sufi Center, Bangalore conferred upon him a citation of the brightest honor on 1st September 2020, recognizing him among 25 Indian English poets for their contribution to communal harmony and cosmic humanism. Mishra sir, really I'm very much honored, and I would like to mention that I have done the course Effective Writing, and also I have registered for soft skills course in MOOC, sir. So this is really a day which I never felt that I would meet a professor whom I have been admiring remotely, sir. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. And Ghanshyam sir, the credit goes to you for providing the platform to meet an eminent personality from IIT Roorkee, sir. And I also wish that this association would continue in enriching my knowledge and my subject expertise. Thank you very much, sir. And the session is all to Binod Mishra, sir. It's your turn, sir.
Thank you, ma'am, for flattering me up.
It's not flattering, sir. It's something, a genuine statement or a profile I just made it, sir.
Before I start, let me first thank the chairman of iSPELL, Professor G.A. Ghanshyam, a friend of mine since long. Of course, we have not met for a few years, but then we are always in touch. I'm also honored to be invited by iSPELL, and it becomes my duty to thank all the members of iSPELL who was actually trying their level best to delighten people in this age of darkness, I'll say, because all of us are confined within. My thanks are also to Professor Ashok Sachdeva, who introduced me in the beginning. I also feel delighted to be introduced by the other members about this association, namely Professor Indrani Borkar, also Professor Sobharani ma'am, and then many of the faces that I have not been able to see for years, but then faces have always delighted teachers. Of course, for the last 2 years, we are being delighted by the icons. And the situation is so, but then should we not look at the other side of it? When could we really thought of, or when could we really think that we'll be meeting so many people and on a platform like this? So this has really been possible thanks to the efforts of Professor Ghanshyam, that being in one of the corner, being in the heartland of India and moving from one place to another, he has been managing this literary satsang, I would say, fine. And that also on a day like Sunday, where most people might be taking their afternoon siesta, and he's trying to wake them up in a new age of a different sort of renaissance where knowledge comes forth through different poles, through different quarters. Dear friends, of course, the times are tough, but teachers have to be tougher. And apart from the situation that is prevailing all around, the circumstances of so many losses that many of us have suffered, yet the simple desire that we shall go forward has kept us all agog. And that is why I thought, when Professor Ghanshyam approached me for delivering a talk on his platform under his banner, I thought what would be a better topic than speaking on soft skills, because what should a teacher say to another teacher? Teachers are known for, teachers are infamous for being the speakers, and speaking to teachers, and that also in such a tight situation, often becomes very difficult. But then Ghanshyam's request could not be denied. And that is why I titled my talk as Role of Soft Skills in Academic Effectiveness. Now the question is, are we not academically effective? Of course, we all are academically effective. But then the circumstances that are there before us at times makes us low-spirited, makes us droop our energies and emotions. And when our students who try to log themselves in and then log off and then keep themselves as avatars, we never know whether this academic effectiveness is being realized or not. That is why, some way or the other, in order to make our academic effective, in order to make our duties sacrosanct enough, we need to utilize our soft skills. Now, the question that arises again is, can soft skills make us an effective academician or an effective teacher? I think I'll try my level best to answer some of the queries by touching upon some of the areas so that a new sensitization is there among teachers, and we'll be able to share all these. So if I'm allowed, I may now share my screen.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, please.
Yes. Is it visible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine.
Make it full, sir.
Just a minute. Just
Yes, sir.
I'm not finding that slide, so just a minute.
Sir, press F5.
Yes, I think
Yes.
it's there now.
Yes, sir.
Fine.
Visible, sir.
So the situation that we are in, we're actually in a situation of to be or not to be. That is the question. Many of us think that our genius is being tested. Many of us have some other sorts of predilections as well. And what are those? There is a question before us. And the question is, will this suffering continue? Or should the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or should we really take arms against the sea of troubles, as Shakespeare says in Hamlet? So when we are in such a situation, when many of us feel that either we are put to an acid test, fine, because doing an online teaching, when there is no physical teaching as such, how do we do? So this conflict is there. This question of being or becoming is there, but as teachers, we have to become. It is not a question simply to be whisked, but it is a question to react. It is a question to respond. And how can we respond? Of course, when we come across this barrage of situations and questions, we at times feel like being dipped. And we are also filled with lots of negativities. But then if you can simply change a little bit of our attitude and have a nice bit of thinking that sweet can be the uses of adversity, then perhaps we can be doing our task in a better way, in a more effective way. Content is there with you, my dear friends. Why do you bother? The content is simply to be disseminated. Earlier, we used to disseminate in a different form. Now we have been confined to disseminate in a different form. But look, let us look at what are we gaining also. Had it been possible to meet all these people at one platform, had things been going on in the normal fashion? I think not. I think there's a question now of visibility. Every now and then you will find that there are webinars, there are e-seminars, e-conferences, there are FDPs, there are QIPs, there are TechIPs, everything is there. And that is why I say now we have entered a new renaissance. So let us also see that we have time at our disposal. Fine. Thanks to Ghanshyam ji, that Sunday has also not become a fun day, my dear friend. Sunday has also become an academic day, an academic fest, an academic event. Right? And of course, even though we are bolted within, nature seems to be so pleasant. Had we ever been able to hear the chirps of the birds, had we been able to hear the songs that are there in the air, we had not been, my dear. The sky appears to be so clear, so starry. The moon stands stuck. Fine. And another thing, when many of our friends like Ghanshyamji did not get time to meet the family members, now we have time at our disposal. And not only time, the talks with teacups, talks in the presence of the family members. Now we are no more the lions outside. We have to be the lions even in our houses. Fine? And your charisma and your skill can be exposed. Many of us are frightened at times. But then this new culture of working from home has enabled us to convert this adversity into a sort of opportunity. And that has been possible only because of technology. Only because of technology. Many of our teacher friends might have found earlier they used to scold their children. Why every now and then you are stuck in your mobile? Why in your smartphone? The smartphone only used to be the home. Now can you say that? Because the guys are already loaded, overloaded, steeped in their educational tasks, homeworks, and whatnot, my dear friend. Android has become a new world, a completely new institution, a new school, a new college, a new university. And there are several platforms. Who has now got the time to look for some other sorts of platforms where our children might be wandering? No, not at all. Today we have at their Android phones all these softwares, all these stations where whenever they plug in to get knowledge, whether it be NPTEL, Swayam, ePathshala, Google Meet, Google Classes, OBS, WebEx, Zoom, MS Teams, whatnot. Everything is there, my friend. And please, those many of my friends who are simply yearning to get the old days back, even though the pandemic is over, all of us wish that the pandemic be over. But then it has spread a new culture, my dear friend. And what is this new culture? And the new culture now, yesterday I came across this, most of you might have come across this, that this is going to be an age, even when the schools and colleges open, I think we cannot pretend that we'll only be teaching in a physical setup. Now, 40% will be, I mean, there are these sorts of, views from people. Views are being gathered from people, from students, from all sorts of people, from all quarters of people. So this is going to be an age of blended learning. Those who never could think of delivering today with the help of their mobile phones or their laptops, now all of us, I mean, majority of us have been literate enough. But the question is, simply using a phone or using a laptop is not enough when it comes to teaching, because teaching requires some amount of planning. Teaching requires certain goals. It requires certain aims. And that is why I once again reiterate that soft skills is important, because all of us as teachers are communicators. We have been communicating. Whatever way you communicated in the past has now become a matter of past, my dear. Today, whatever you bring, you'll have to bring it online. Today, our talent is also at stake. Today, our skills are also at a test. That is why when we think of delivering a talk or giving a lecture, we first need to understand that we have to be communicative. And how can you be communicative unless and until you and the nitty-gritty of effective communication, my dear. Today is the age when you're communicating in a dark room, but then you are spreading light to the outside world, whereas students are spread in different nooks and corners of your country. In that condition, you have to think of the situation or the reality of your students, that is of B. Communication matters between A and B, where A is the sender or the teacher, B are the students. This sort of communication, this sort of rapport, this sort of discourse between the two actually requires lots of things in order that they get materialized, in order that they get effective. Because our intention of teaching will be realized fruitfully when we think of their perceived meaning. What is going on in their minds? At times you used to scold them. At times you used to shout at them. But today you have to think of, in what condition are my students? Are they having the access to technology? Are in a remote corner of India, they are not getting connected, they are not able to. So what I can do, I can send them the slides or the notes or whatever way, but then they can put questions even at an hour when I cannot say, I can't reply. So when such a situation is there, my dear friend, the need is actually to understand the challenges on both sides. As a teacher also, you have a lot of challenges. Your challenge is, earlier you used to speak less. Your 45 minutes or 1 hour. How did it flee away? You never knew. But now you have to speak more. I often say, mockingly, jokingly, that one class today is equivalent to 3 classes of yesteryears. So the teacher has to speak more. He has to speak more in order that his students get convinced. In many cases, the students do not show their avatars. Fine. And then many of us also have the problem of a sort of insecurity. The sentences that are coming out of my lips, are they really grammatically correct, especially in terms of an English teacher? So we have to ensure that whatever we are distributing or disseminating, they are free from flaws. Many of us are also unfamiliar with technology. And then there is another challenge, and the challenge is that we are not getting the proper feedback because the students are not before us. Sometimes the attendance is also too less, which also dispels our attraction, which also makes us disinterested in the way we are teaching. And many of our new friends who have joined this profession of late, they actually come across a sort of nervousness. But then if we realize the circumstances on the other side, on the other hand, that is of the receivers, then I think we'll get the answers. On many occasions it appears, and in past also it appeared, that we became a one-way man, a one-way traffic. In many cases, still it is becoming one-way traffic. So your talk has to become interactive. Your communication has to become interactive. Moreover, you also have to think that you are overloading their minds with information. I mean, lack of planning. So if I have to take a class of 60 minutes, you should also prepare beforehand. How much should I speak? What is it that I'm going to provide them with? Of course, the lack of resources at their end is a question that actually keeps us always agog. In many cases, in many parts, the poor infrastructure that is also there, and the teacher can, with the help of his own voice, with the help of his own vocabulary, can make the task easier. Psychological fears are there. Most of us, not only students, but teachers also are having a psychological fear, living in an age of uncertainty, my dear friend. But in this age of uncertainty, it is only the teacher that can provide some hope, that can provide some inspiration, that can provide and distribute some amount of optimism. Even though there's a lack of non-verbals. By non-verbals, I mean you used to look at your students and the task became easier. But then being confined in one room, let me quote from the Gita, because earlier we used to think of the happiness that was outside. Today, we are actually craving for a happiness that is inside. Bahyas parseshu asaktatma vindati atmani yat sukham sa brahma yoga yuktatma shukham akshayam asura. The one who turns his mind away from happiness which is available from the outside or through outside senses, and the one who turns his mind away from the happiness has to look within. And today, as teachers, we have to look within in order to derive a sort of happiness, in order to derive a sort of satisfaction. Since I was talking about soft skills, many of you might be thinking, what are these soft skills and how can we utilize them? Of course, it will take at least a semester to talk about all the areas of soft skills that I'll be touching upon. But briefly, we could say that these refer to personality traits. No two persons are alike, as we all know. And in our personality traits, personality itself is a very big word. It actually includes so many things, right? Social graces, facility with language, habits, friendliness, optimism that mark people to varying degrees. But then this soft skills will complement your hard skills. For all English teachers, their hard skills are the thick books of literature, thick volumes of poetry, prose, drama, and many more. But then how they can be dispersed or disseminated, that actually can be done with the help of soft skills. Earlier, we have actually been addicted to, I use the word addicted to, a lecture method. Things are changing, my dear friends. And so we'll have to change our approaches towards teaching if we really want to utilize soft skills. There are many other things that you can do apart from lecturing. Today, we are not lecturing, we have to interact, right? These are some of the methods that some of us might be utilizing in their classes. Some of us might have turned a blind ear to, and a blind eye to rather, but now this has actually become essential that we cannot confine ourselves simply to delivering lectures. Rather, we will have to divide it in some other forms, activity-oriented, role play, discussions, presentations. I mean, making them do rather than doing ourselves. Because teaching has become participatory affair, my dear. The participation, it is not one side, one way traffic. And that is why we actually have to depend upon so many other technicalities. And out of this, technical awareness or technological awareness is also important. That is why timing, and I have been saying, in order to be an effective teacher, what we ought to do is we ought to practice more than to preach, my dear. These are some of the areas of soft skills. Most of us possess these qualities, but then when it comes to utilization, we do not utilize it intentionally. But then today we have to be an intentional teacher, not teacher with a sort of affective fallacy, rather teacher with a sort of cognitive knowledge who can also understand the affectations of the students in order to play his or her part well, my dear friends. Of course, effective communications is one very important area, and all of us are effective communicators because all of us have got communication skills. But are our communication skills effective? What do we really mean by effective? What is effective pedagogy? Fine. Is it only to speak? By effective pedagogy or by effective communication skills, rather, for teachers, we mean the 4 areas that all of you are aware of: listening, reading, writing, and speaking. Fine. And then comes the other things like attitudes and values, adaptability, teamwork, conflict management, problem solving, leadership, time, space, nonverbals, culture, and communication. So when the range of soft skills is so much, it is very difficult to assimilate, but then it is not always so difficult, provided we can put it into practice. Earlier, you used to think that how will technology judge? How can we go for online teaching? But many of them have started realizing it, and it has also started producing results, my dear friend, producing results. So when we talk about communication skills, these 4 areas are very important. And especially for a language teacher, what is of utmost importance, more than speaking, is listening to the students. Now, the question is, many of them may say, how can we listen? You can listen by stopping at some time, by asking questions, by reiterating what you said, not by simply putting a lot of content of knowledge. When it comes to reading, as you know, this situation has also given us an opportunity to read more. And this reading more will be reflected in our teaching in the days to come. No? One person going to the class, always with the same sort of lecture, always with the same sort of book, did not have the facility earlier to refer to. But then this opportunity has provided him, because of the reading, that he can now refer to more and more books. He can actually be more convincing, my dear friends. And of course, writing, this is also an important part, which actually is a part of the assignment. Many of us are always frightened of how we'll be evaluating, but yet the evaluation is going on, my dear friend. And of course, it cannot be 100% as it used to be. But then, as I said in the beginning, this is actually going to be the culture in the years to come, my dear friend, and we cannot withdraw ourselves from this reality. In teaching, especially in a teaching like this, what is of utmost importance is the attitude. Now see, look at this attitude. So many people have joined this lecture. Why should they join this lecture? Earlier, we used to think we even did not interact with our colleagues because of certain fears, no? Either we will be exposed or we'll feel a sort of envy, a sort of jealousy of how much that person knows. Now, today, it is actually an age where you need to talk even to your colleagues, even to the other teachers in the department. But then that requires a sort of positive attitude. When we talk of attitude, there are these, which hamper our communication. Criticizing. The moment we sit, what happens? Instead of talking of creative things, we start criticizing each other. Fine. Always the talk between two is referred to the third person, isn't it? My dear friends, let us create a sort of atmosphere and environment where the attitude is a sort of we attitude, not I and you attitude. And then every now and then complaining, comparing, competing, and contending why my cert is always whiter than his cert, why my lecture is always better than. Why can't we think like this? Tricks that he utilizes in his classroom, and that his classroom is always full, and people actually try to sit even at the window sills. So this attitude has to be developed, my dear. For this attitude to develop, what we have also to realize is what are actually we giving importance to. My dear friends, not only in teaching, but in all sorts of profession, what is of utmost importance is values. What are our values? Are we actually thinking only for money, only for visibility? My dear friends, everyone's attitude is different and everyone's values are also different. You have to decide what actually do you want. Why I'm delivering this talk? I could have simply refused. But then I think that I'll be able to know more and more people. And perhaps by doing this, at least if I'll not be imposing, rather what I'll be doing is I'll be cooperating with them. I'll perhaps be able to create in them a sort of new desire, which will actually work wonders. And these values are inculcated and sustained through an adaptive process. Now, there is always a question which many of our friends ask in this online mode of education. Most of these students are absent. I say no fear. At least you should not be absent. If I deliver a talk today to my students, even if they are 5 in number, tomorrow these 5 people will report to another 5 people. And then perhaps he will either criticize or appreciate or whatsoever. And then the others will also feel like missing some of the classes. So what if the number is less? Let our numbers grow, and that will grow by our own sincerity, by our own values. We are being paid. We are representing them. Fine. We are actually trying to help them. If they do not want the help, it is there. But then some way or the other, they will realize, my dear friend, it is our values that actually bring us to the classrooms in time. It is our values that we do not shirk from our responsibilities. It is our values that we feel work is worship. Our duty is a sort of devotion, and we need to follow it. So if we do it in return, this will be transferred to the new generation that is also coming up. And some way or the other, they will realize, did you not realize that some of your students 10 years ago now comes to you after so many years and said, sir, one day you had said like this. Of course, good things are realized, but late, isn't it? So the effect of good things takes time, but for that, we need not be frustrated, my dear. Adaptability is also one important ingredient of soft skills. Today, I want to focus more on adaptability here is because in many of the colleges or universities, you will find many of the people who always say this can't be done. This can't be done attitude has to be changed into can-do attitude. Can-do attitude. Every now and then people are complaining, oh, good things were there in the past when you used to go to the classroom. Of course, that was there. But times keep on changing, situations keep on changing. And the successful person is the one who adapts himself to the situation. Fine. So adaptability is the ability to change. You can change. How? When you who are not able to make use of an Android phone today, what is happening? Even in the days to come, WhatsApp is also going to become a formal platform, formal piece of information. Today, Facebook has become a news site. You get all sorts of news today. Fine. Even people read newspapers or not, but they will always consult their Facebook to know how the world is going on. Fine. So this is a process that is taking place, and this is being generated. So we all have to see that we also adapt to this situation, and we should try to follow the flow, not saying that this can't be done. There is always a world ahead. Tomorrow is always better, my dear friend. And if we get ourselves accustomed to this new mode of learning, I think the world will be as green as it was in the previous years, my dear. Then we come to the team dynamics. One person one day asked me that in an online mode of education, how do you evaluate? Because, you know, tasks are always in the making, that let there be no examinations, but still the students have to be evaluated. Fine. So how can we do that? My dear friends, you can do that taking recourse to your own measurement methods. How is that method? And how can we utilize that method? B.A. Tuckman, in one of his books, Tuckman is a psychologist, in one of his books, he identifies that in order to have a sort of team dynamics, you will have to come across 4 stages. I mean, if you're teaching a course, let it be taught by 2 people. If you're teaching one book, let it be taught by 2 people. If you're going to judge your students, you can judge them also with the help either of GD or of a group presentation. And in that, you can find out several things, several qualities based on what you can evaluate them. So when you're going to make a better team, you see today, Professor Ghanshyam has made a very beautiful team, iSPELL. No, all sorts of people from different colleges and universities, they have gathered on one single platform called iSPELL. Initially, when he might have come with that idea, that was the forming stage. Many people would have said, how would it happen? But today it has happened, it is a reality. So in the first stage, it is a formation stage. And in the formation stage itself, because people from different walks of life come together, there is a sort of small stormy situation, no? There is a sort of stormy situation. Attacks, counter-attacks, no? Criticism, then counter-criticism, then all sorts of suggestions. And again, the suggestions are also being interacted, and the suggestions are put forward and rebut. But then after some time, there will be a period of normalization. And after normalization period will come the period of performance. So the period of performance is now there before Ghanshyam, isn't it? So he's performing now, literary satsang, FDPs, and would anyone think of that we are now having FDPs online? How much cost we are reducing? In earlier days, you know, we had a lot of investment, lot of expenses on traveling from one place to another. So let us also look at the other side. And this has been possible only because of a fruitful team dynamics, my dear. We can also have that can be utilized in the classroom also. If I have to teach a thick book in the classroom, I can also teach that with the help of the team dynamics by providing them the role plays, by making them different characters. If I'm doing a play, I will distribute the roles among my students, and then you will find the task will become easier. And not only easier, it will actually create a lot of interest. Lot of interest. Everyone will try to, and therein lies your creativity. Fine. So you are going to become a creative teacher. A creative teacher is one who actually tries to derive some satisfaction even out of the adverse situations. Fine. And so here we can think of de Bono's 6 thinking hats technique, where when you bring people in one group and you think of getting their ideas, you know, you will find a sort of mechanism where one person cuts when one person tries to find fault in another, and then after a lot of deliberation, some new things come up. So one person wears a white hat, the other wears a red hat, and all these hats are very symbolical, my dear. And then somebody will wear
Pramod, is he disconnected?
No. Yes, sir.
Okay, I'll call him.
Sir, you are not audible.
Sir, you're disconnected, sir.
Please, wait.
Yeah, you are disconnected. Yeah. Please reconnect yourself once again. You are talking about the 6 hats. Yes. Sir, you are muted. Kindly unmute yourself. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. No, PPT is not visible. Still, you are muted. Yes, sir. Pramod, is the PPT visible?
No, sir.
No, it's not visible, sir.
Now,
No, sir.
is
Not
it?
it. No, sir, not it.
Still not.
No. Please reshare it.
Okay. Why does this happen? Return to meeting. Is it now?
Not it, sir.
Still not.
No.
You are visible and audible, sir, but screen is not visible.
Screen is not visible.
Yes, screen is not being shared by you.
Okay, I'll share it again.
Yes, sir.
I think now it's visible.
Yeah, it's visible now.
Okay, fine. I'm sorry.
Yes.
This
it's
is
okay, sir.
technology.
Yeah, it's visible, sir.
Technology
But
facilitates,
please carry on.
but technology irritates also at times.
Yes, sir.
That is actually the benignity and the malignity of technology, but the man has to be more benign. And as spectators and listeners, you are more benign. So I'm sorry. So we're thinking about the creativity. So it is this creativity that will actually create a new aura in whatever profession you are, and you can utilize that. For detail, you can go to De Bono's book on parallel thinking that will help. So finally, the blue hat will be organizing and controlling thought process. So when you are in that state, there is actually a new reality. Apart from all that, one of the major ingredients of soft skills is to have a sort of cultural sensitivity. Cultural sensitivity. What is that cultural sensitivity? This cultural sensitivity is that when we as teachers, when we are teaching, we perhaps do not think about the variety of the crowd that we are addressing. At times, it so happens that whatever we may speak may not be true to one culture. So we must try to, through our lectures, through our talks, through our whatever discussions we are doing, we should actually try to see that no culture is being hurt. You actually have to belittle these cultural differences too much. Most of us are habituated to harp upon our culture being the best, and that is where we create the problems for other people, my dear. So we actually have to be culturally very sensitive in order to see that no one is actually hurt. In a world of today, when we are learning through technology, all of us find that there are many new things which are available gratis. Without any cost. The need is to utilize technology, my dear friends. Skill India, then Digital India, startup programs, use of technology in bridging gaps. All these facilities are there. And for that, we as teachers, we need to sensitize our students. Even we as teachers also can get numerous lessons from different sources. Now, who is not aware of NAC and IQAC? Fine, everyone is aware of. And in a way, we are going to appraise ourselves also how we are improving, how we are year after year, we are adding some feathers to us or not. That is being judged, because in the in the long way, even if you are going to get something or not, at least you are going to get a satisfaction that you did that, my dear. So let us utilize that. Let us move on to that. And then one thing that I would like all my friends to realize is, let your students, as a teacher, let your students be exposed to the online resources. I mean, they were and they are still busy with their Android phones, but let them make a use of their Android phones. Let them be there, but then let them go to several sites, NPTEL, MOOC courses, Pathshalas, online resources, different lectures from different people, esteemed people and established people outside the world also. So there are so many things. So let them, because education today is at their doorsteps. The task of teachers has also become very easier. Rightly had it been mentioned in my introduction that once I started this course, Soft Skills on NPTEL platform, and my dear friend, this year it is going to be used for the 6th time. And you know, every year there are thousands and thousands of students. As Sovarani ma'am said that she had been attending a course of effective writing under me. So like that, we all can do that. And for every teacher, there's an opportunity. Those who are under the UGC, for them, e-Pathshalas are there. The need is to come from within. If we realize that we can do that, of course, you can also do that, my dear friend. So please go ahead. Now, when we talk of teaching, and we talk of teachers being leaders. Teachers are the leaders today. So in teaching, what is of utmost importance is, according to John Gardner, one of the novelists, who said, teaching and leading are distinguishable occupations, but every great leader is clearly teaching and every great teacher is leading. So you are also a leader, my dear friends. Do you not remember what Bernard Shaw said? That a teacher is the best parliamentarian, isn't it? So all of us are, you have got the capacity to speak, you have got to prove your point, my dear. So when we have got this sort of responsibility, what are we doing? Of course, the scenario is a bit bleak, but still we are educating our students, but educating for what? We are educating them to see that they are getting some quality things, my dear friend. By quality things, what I mean is things which the customers can buy, things which are saleable. Today, if we are as English teachers able to sensitize our students only to these 4 skills of listening, speaking, reading, and writing, I think this word of unemployment will really ease. And you know, there are several startup programs where many of our students are taking up the jobs of content writing, technical writing. They are employed here and there, provided they have better linguistic skills. But that alone is not sufficient. What we need to do is, apart from this, is to make them better citizens, citizens who can understand the difference between values, difference between ethics, difference between good and bad. That is our utmost responsibility, my dear friend. And we can create in them a desire not only to become job getters, but to be job creators, entrepreneurs, and that we can do. And the results are also before us, my dear friend. If we think of all these things, naturally, they will, in the days to come, will remember. It is not that they will forget us forever, my dear friend. As teachers, I think especially for those who have joined of late, they might be facing some sort of anxieties because the scenario is now on an anvil, and this anvil of change. So the way they read and now the way they will have to teach, they also have some anxieties. And these anxieties can be categorized into 7. Fine. The first is that in a setup of teaching, especially of colleges and universities, we do not have B.Ed-like courses where we are made to learn, where we are to get certain trainings. But of course, there are different opportunities. And this is also one opportunity. FDP is also one opportunity, fine. And then several conferences and seminars and webinars nowadays in plenty. They are also an opportunity to allow them to get certain things which they can utilize in the days to come. Nowadays, of course, they are finding a sort of isolation because they're not much exposed. Stage fright is a common phenomena. Most of them, when they join as teachers, especially new, they feel this is stage fright, but that requires a lot of practice. And since they have the Android phone, the world is there before them. Let them record their own lectures. Let them listen. Let them also find fault with this. Let them also show it to their teachers, get the proper feedback, and then do it, rehearse it, realize it, and then finally react to it and see the responses of the students. You will be able to do that, my dear. Ellen Sowalter, in one of her books, says, just as teaching drama is reinforced by the theatrical space of the classroom, and teaching poetry is enabled by the oral and communal aspects of recitation, so too teaching fiction provides an opportunity to play with the teacher's narrative role and perspective. I mean, once I remember somebody asked me, how do you teach poetry? And my response was, I do not teach poetry, because by teaching poetry, I will be destroying poetry. What I do, I recite poetry so that words themselves provide the meaning to this. So when we as teachers, when we are teaching with the help of the text, our voice is our own identity. The amount of amplitude, the amount of essence, the amount of force, pitch, delivery that you incorporate in the words and the sentences that you speak, that provide them the meaning, my dear. Teaching literature is difficult, challenging, but it has got its own reward. I do remember that whenever I teach play, I do not teach play. I simply become a witness. My students play it in the classroom. I divide the roles. I realize role play does more. And you know, any book of drama is finished within 1 or 2 months. And then I reverse the roles also. And when I reverse the roles, most of them, you know, actually they are vying with each other for becoming the hero, for becoming the villain, for becoming Tughlaq, for becoming Barani, for becoming mother, for becoming the wasserman. And that way I see how they speak, how dialogues come out of them. And that is how the realization is there. And that is how communication gets its true meaning, my dear friends. Now, when our new teachers are going to the colleges or their institutions to deliver their talks, they should ensure that they pack their goods well before they start. What is it that I mean by packing their goods? Let us make use of 5 I's. Introspection, right? So whenever I'm invited for a talk, I ask the host, who am I going to speak to? What will be their background knowledge? Because when you introspect, this introspection will help you imagine the crowd before you. And we are in a situation here where we are not in a position to see our students, but we imagine that they are in the classroom. Fine. And then you do some sort of innovation. The innovation can be done not only through the imagination, but also through the realization that they are there and they are listening to. And that leads to a sort of anticipation that after the talk is over, will there be a barrage of questions, a volley of questions? What can the questions be like? And then we also have the answers, my dear friend. We actually get ourselves prepared. So ask yourself, who is on the other side, meaning thereby, who are the recipients? Have I packaged my content well? Are the goods properly divided? I mean, If a lecture is a longer one, if a lesson is a longer one, how much are you going to teach in one day? And what are your objectives of teaching? You're going to teach them not only the story and essence, you're also going to teach them the linguistic nuances. You're also going to teach them use of particular words in a particular context. You're also going to use them the proper pronunciation of a particular sentence. You're also going to tell them how they can also keep or make use of the dictionary or the thesaurus, or you can also tell them how a particular word can be utilized in different ways by making different sentences. Is my language effective? I mean, different layers of people actually require different layers of knowledge. So what is your language? Your language should be a language of the common people where they can also feel that they can understand. Am I aware of time management, which is very important? Which is of utmost importance. I think also I also should be aware of time management because Professor Ghanshyam has given me 1 hour, fine. And then we should also think how good or bad my voice is. When I speak, am I clear? Am I able to use my non-verbals? Of course, in an online mode, you're not able to use your non-verbals, but your voice is also your non-verbal. The way you throw your voice, the way you bring certain nuances of silence and pauses in your voice work wonders. And then when we think of time, please see that proper planning is required. Proper planning is required, my dear friend. Because if you do not pay much attention to time, you'll also come to have a realization the way Richard II had in Richard II when he says, when he's in a mood of repentance and he says, I wasted time and now doth time waste me. For now hath time made me his numbering clock. My thoughts are minutes. And with sighs they jar, their watches on unto mine eyes, the outward watch, where to my finger like a dial's point is pointing still in cleansing them from tears. My dear friends, time actually is a very important fact when we think of utilizing softer skills in making our teaching effective. If you delay something today, you will have to repent for in the days to come. If we think that we are not having access to technology and it will not be because the pandemic will be over, no, my dear friend, even if the pandemic is over, the endemic is not over, my dear friend. We have to get in tune with that. And that is why, please prioritize your tasks. If you think that we are not able to learn with the help of your children. They are better at use of technology. Right? And technology will save time, even though at times it may irritate, but at times it facilitates also, isn't it? Fine, rightly as Professor Ghanshyam said, facilitate to innovate, isn't it? And there is a very beautiful book by Brian, by Brian, where he says about time. The title of the book is Eat That Frog. Brian Tracy, Eat That Frog, where he says that time is such a thing, it is like a frog that you do not want to eat. But remember, if you really want to be successful, you'll have to eat that frog. And if there are 2 frogs, you have to eat the ugliest first and the other later. So use the 3 Ds. What are these 3 Ds? Decision. What should I do? Fine. Prioritize yourself, my dear friend. Then discipline, and then determination. If others can do, why not I? Fine. You remember, my dear friends, because you're English teachers, it gives me another opportunity to remember Macbeth. Macbeth never wanted to kill Duncan. But think of Lady Macbeth, who told Macbeth, to beguile time, look like the time. Bear welcome in your eyes, hands and tongue. Look like an innocent flower, but be a serpent under it. By saying this, what Lady Macbeth was doing was, Lady Macbeth was actually preparing Macbeth for the ambition that he had, the ambition to become the king. So my dear friends, if you really want to be effective, you will have to prioritize. Sometimes even the blatant, even the bitter truths. Use technology, but use technology, my dear friends, effectively, and then only you will think. Because when you have got such a large, such a vast amount of knowledge, you must have the control within. I have got 60 minutes only. In 60 minutes, how can I play my part well? How can I control myself? Because as is said in Katha, he who is possessed of supreme knowledge by concentration of mind must have his senses under control. Like a spirited steeds, you are spirited steeds, spirited horses, but controlled by a charioteer. We are the charioteers, so we have to control our enthusiasm, but we have not to lose our enthusiasm. And once you control that, you are going to make your academics. You are going to have a sort of academic effectiveness, my dear. We are every now and then persuading our students. Sometimes you may have a question as to why they are not ready to listen. Many people often come with a question or observation. They are not really interested to listen. I think I should find fault in myself. Perhaps I'm not that effective. That is why they are not listening. Why do people listen to great actors? Why do people always want to go miles and miles to listen to Big B? It is only the question of how the tone is there, how the delivery is there, how the communication is there. So all talks, lectures, or speeches are persuasive. And persuasion, by persuasion, it is not manipulation. It is actually to win them through a sort of confidence. Actually, it requires the essence of informative talks. The more knowledge you have, the more exposed you are towards the new realities, I think people will be bound to listen to you. All of us are teachers, and all of us have got contents. The thing is only to sharpen a little bit, because our razors are getting blunt. Technology can help us sharpen it. And if we sharpen it, a new vibe will come from within. A new positivism will appear forth, and we will see that our roles have changed, but not the goals have changed, my dear friend, because persuasion is the mantra. And with this mantra, let me actually conclude on a note that blessed we are that we have become teachers. Because when we think of, as Confucius says, if you think in terms of a year, plant a seed. If in terms of 10 years, plant trees. If in terms of 100 years, teach the people, my dear friend. And that we have got this responsibility before us. We are here to teach. Let us become teachers. Let us become effective teachers. Let us not budge from our responsibilities. Let us try to innovate. Let us try to facilitate. Let us try to see that our students are well rewarded, that our students do not get disparate, but they are filled with a new Philip, a new energy of a new tomorrow, because tomorrow never dies, my dear. With these words, I come to the end of my talk. Thank you very much for cooperation. I actually had been blabbering over for all these 60 minutes. Now is the time for me to respond to your queries. Thank you very much. These are the works that I consulted for this talk.
Thank you very much, sir. Indeed, it's a very enlightening session. And in a nutshell, you have just projected what is soft skills. It's a version of a subject in just 60 minutes, sir. So here, one of my colleagues, Dr. Sabita, is asking, neighbors are dying. We are asking the students to attend the online class. How to respond as teachers to such situations? Some students feel fatigue as they are COVID sufferers. How to repeat the lesson to them?
Will you please repeat the question so that in and between I can steal some time to have some drafts of water?
Sure, sir. Sure, sir. So her question is, neighbors are dying. We are asking the students to attend the online class. How to respond as teachers to such situations?
Okay. Yes. I think let us take all the questions so that my task becomes easier.
Sure, sir. So another question from her. Some students feel fatigue as they are COVID sufferers. How to repeat the lesson to them? So this is another question. And one of the participants is requesting to share PPT on soft skills. And there are appreciations. Time conscious people do stay punctual. So this is well point you have made it, sir. And other comments, excellent deliberation, sir. And yeah, so
Okay. So
One
let
more-
me respond.
one more question, sir.
Yes, please.
Pandemic, as you rightly said, is not over, and its afterlives will remain for a very long time. Now, keeping in view this, what should be the priority areas for English teachers while designing syllabi?
Okay. Actually, I'll take the second question first.
Please, sir.
Students are fatigued. So are we. So we are on the same platform, but then having more experience than students, it is always beneficial on our part to convince them through dialogue. Our aim should not only to teach, let us talk to them. How is life? And for a literature teacher, there are n number of examples to convince them. Life goes on like this. None of us have come to live here forever. Great many trees and trunks are also uprooted. But does that mean life will come to an end? Not at all. You are the positive vibes and the icons of new tomorrow. Fine? If every now and then we get prepared ourselves for the worst, then I think these things will not pester us. Every day we hear the demise of some near and dear ones. But then it is an age of uncertainty, but this is not going to be ever for there. If winter comes, can spring be far behind? So let us put more vibes into them. And with the start of every class, let us not come specifically to the lecture, but before that, create a sort of atmosphere by becoming more sympathetic, empathetic, so that we know each other's problems and then take them into confidence, and then our job will become easier. What was the first question?
Sir, it is when the neighbors are dying, how to respond to such situations when they are reluctant to attending? I mean, they say that when neighbors are dying, how can we attend the class?
Okay. Yes, this is a reality. We cannot ignore that, but then we have to realize, because this is not in our hands. Fine. Every now and then, so many people are dying. We are also having a lot of negativities. Tell them to read something that encourages them, that boosts them with confidence. Yes, one more question was asked. What should teachers do? Teachers should utilize this time in reading more and more. And one question somebody asked about that after this is over, should there be a change in the syllabi? I think if you read the yesterday's Times of India, I think 40% of it, many people are advising that let there be a blended teaching. But again, there'll be another question. What should be the content now? Fine. Nowadays, there are several discussions going on pandemic literature. 100 years before this happened also. Fine. So pandemic literature will now evolve as a new form of research now. Now is the time. So for teachers, they are to get themselves prepared to these sorts of readings. And during these hours of crisis, it is only poetry that can soothe them. So let them read more and more of poetry. Let them not read too much of crime fictions and all, but let them read something that helps them realize. Yes, are there other questions?
Yes, sir. Can I ask a question, sir?
Yes, Ashokji, yes, you are most welcome.
Yes, sir. It was indeed a wonderful session. It was very insightful, thought-provoking, and new information was supplied to us. It was highly enlightening and very revealing one, sir. I appreciate. I have a question, sir, that in the new normal order, some soft skills might have undergone some kind of metamorphosis or some kind of transition looking to the COVID-19 isolation, home quarantine, lockdown sort of things. I think new soft skills might have emerged. One example of teamwork is this iSPELL, which is a kind of a new type of time management or team management, as you can say.
Right.
There are other skills such as, because we are not meeting physically, so some soft skills are, they are being, we are doing away with some soft skills and new other soft skills are emerging. And another soft skills is the art of negotiation and conflict resolution, and besides many others.
This is not new, Ashokji. Actually, this is already there. Conflict resolution is an important segment of soft skills. I actually did not touch upon too much on that area because it was basically for English teachers.
Yes, sir.
And I tried myself to shy away from that because when we teach in technical institutes and to technical students, we focus more on negotiation and the art of conflict management as well.
Yeah. So what do you think is the need for the time for new soft skills nowadays in the new normal situation, new normal order, as you can say?
Yes, actually, nowadays, as you might have realized, that most of us are doing online teaching. Something new that is going to evolve is the excessive use of technology, which was not there earlier. Now, from the evaluation point of view, some new methodologies are being chalked out as how to evaluate our students. And I'm not aware whether this practice is in most of the universities, but here we actually want our students to write their papers, scan their papers, and send us. And that is actually a very difficult and cumbersome process when we are going to evaluate. So now you will realize in the days to come, most of the examinations will become objective oriented, objective type. And the platforms like MOOC, NPTEL, their courses are also being approved as credit courses in many of the universities. Because this is going to be the new normal. Fine? This is going to be the new normal.
Right, sir.
So, yes.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Sir, can I
Please
say something? Sir, I'm Dr. Puwama. It was a very good presentation. What I feel on the whole, along with communicative skills and other skills, I think resource management and time management are very important soft skills that teachers must hone up, particularly.
Right. You are right.
Yeah.
It is only because of the research skills that we are getting our vaccines, and we are every day or the other, we are developing new things. That is why I say, sweet are the uses of adversity.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Thank you
sir.
very much.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
There, another question here.
Yes.
Is online learning more beneficial than offline learning for the students?
The choice is yours. Many people will object to it because in a way, online teaching becomes a bit faster. So maybe many of the students who cannot keep pace with it, they will find it difficult. For them, we will have to provide things in advance, like the flip teaching. But if we look at in a general way or overall, online is more beneficial from the student's point of view. Of course, it has also given them many shortcuts, which cannot be denied, but yet they are getting a lot. They are getting a lot. You know, we must never shy away from the fact that when you ask them to write something or an SOP, what they do is they make some online searches and sometimes they copy and paste it also. And that is why a lot of emphasis is being given on plagiarism check as well, which was earlier not there. So these new realities are appearing like anything. So individual talent will be weighed more in the days to come, but not at the cost of a lot of copying and pasting.
I think
Shobha,
a
ma'am?
blended method is more relevant, both online and offline. Because the present situation is like this, we need to resort to online. But otherwise, I think the blended mode of teaching would be highly recommended.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Shobha, ma'am?
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
please request the chairperson because the time is running fast.
Sure, sir. Sure.
No, if there are questions, Ghanshyamji, if there are questions, let it go.
I don't think there is any question left. Let me see to it. Yeah, there is a question from Anil M who says, sir, it's a wonderful lecture. Offline classes were more fun and lively as we could cajole students to be attentive. When as in the online classes, students tend to distractions at home. How could we address this particular issue?
Be as efficient as an offline teacher. Put more vibes in your lecture, and that will be more entertaining.
So that's that was the last question which we had in the chat box.
Yeah, I think sir has answered well to the question. Sir, I really appreciate for enlightening the soft skills, just a framework. And that framework is, I think, sufficient to laid upon into the diving of the soft skills. Now I take the privilege to introduce our chairperson, Dr. Jitendra Jain, Associate Professor of English, MB Patil, Rashtrabhasha Arts and Commerce College, Elsbridge, Ahmedabad. He has been teaching English since 1993 and he has completed his doctorate in English language teaching. He has been teaching UG students and PG students almost a 1.5 decade. And he's a pride of academic staff college. And his lectures also orients upon refresher courses. His area of specialization is ELT and translation studies. There are half a dozen of books to his credit on translation, namely Achal, Angrezi Bole Sahi Sahi, Aam Arogyam, and selected short stories, etc. He has translated numerous poems, short stories from Hindi to English and vice versa, from Gujarati to English or Hindi to Gujarat, and so on. So I welcome Dr. Jitendra Jain. Sir, the stage is yours.
Sorry to correct you, Shobha Rani. I'm Jinendra Jain, not Jitendra Jain.
I'm really sorry, sir.
No problem. It's
thank
okay.
Thank you for making me.
It's okay. You're welcome. Anyway, I fully agree with Dr. Binod Mishra ji when he says that, and at the very outset, usually I say that I dislike Corona, but I like this new normal. Because all of us are sitting in our study rooms, in our drawing rooms, and at our convenience, and with all the efforts done by Dr. G.A. Ghanshyam sir, that he made all the efforts for this 35th literary satsang by iSPELL. Indian Society for the Promotion of English language and literature. And that is meant facilitate to elevate. As Indrani in the introductory session quoted Charles Dickens, that he can only survive who can best manage himself. Only a person can survive if one knows how to manage. And let me come back to the profound, delightful, informative lecture delivered by Dr. Binod Mishra today on this topic, role of soft skill in academic effectiveness. I recall and remember the last words he said at the end of his lecture. Let us be teacher. Let us be effective teacher. Really, it touched my heart. We can only become effective teacher when we have certain amount of knowledge about soft skill. I was with full attentiveness, with rapt attention, I was listening to his lecture, his profound lecture. I must congratulate Mishra sir that he went deep in this topic. Let me first recall those words said by Robert Frost in his poem, "Woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have promises to keep, and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep." And then we look before and after and pine for what is not. Our sweetest songs are those that tell of saddest thought. And let me use the vernacular, in vernacular couplet in Hindi, that अपने होने का सबूत और निशान छोड़ती है, रास्ता कोई नदी यूं ही कहां छोड़ती है, एक दिन सबको चुकाना है अनासिर का हिसाब। मिश्रा जी, एक दिन सबको चुकाना है अनासिर का हिसाब, जिंदगी छोड़ भी दे मौत कहां छोड़ती है, अपने होने का सबूत और निशान छोड़ती है, रास्ता कोई नदी यूं ही कहां छोड़ती है। Mishra ji, I'm really touched the way you were speaking, your pronunciation, and the dramatist, and that your spirit as a drama reader comes out from a teacher in the classroom, and with that enunciation and pronunciation, you were attracting your students. I think that is soft skill. And at last, when you say that Big B's voice, Big B's expressions, why we are attracted to these things, that is much more important thing, sir. You have gone through very deep, sir, very deep. You have touched so many aspects. As I can't even speak in nutshell. As you said that Sunday isn't a fun day, but academic evening. Very true. And technology has changed our thoughts about the gadgets like mobile phones. Teachers are communicators. Good. Various teaching strategies, because teaching is a participatory approach. Very true, very true. Varied aspects of soft skills. And lastly, listening, speaking, writing, and reading. Our students are supposed to Be perfect in these 4 skills, LSRW, and those 5 C's, attitude. Those 5 C's of attitude: criticizing, complaining, comparing, competing, and contending. And I like those words: job getters, job creators. So these are the things which are very much useful for all the listeners of iSPELL, that keep these things in mind when we say that soft skill can be formed and can be built up as per your own quality, your own beliefs, your own attitude, or your own adaptability. Your personality, your voice, your any new formed technique can be made your own soft skill. WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram, or any other tool of Web 2.0 can be exploited as soft skill. Your own interest and involvement, mind well, your own interest as a teacher, how much involvement we are going to have in our own subject, that matters a lot. That matters a lot, my dear friends. Your involvement, your interest in your own particular subject can only attract the students. And that is the only way that you can take the horse to the what? Your own interest and involvement in the subject can attract the students towards the subject. I remember a Polish writer at this juncture. When I read, I quote that Polish writer. It has all been a matter of past that an English teacher is supposed to be a very perfect and learned only in his subject. I repeat, my dear friends, it has all been a matter of past that an English teacher is supposed to be very perfect and learned only in his subject. Now it is a prerequisite for an English teacher to be perfect in his or her subject. But now in the modern age, it won't do. It won't do. In the age of explosion of knowledge and information, in the age of advanced IT facilities, an English teacher must know how best he can use the IT tools to impart the knowledge and information to his students. So, an English teacher should become adequately resourceful to use any of such soft skills with which he can take English language resources to his students, unquote. So, soft skills do not come softly, dear friends. Am I correct?
Oh, yes, Professor Jain.
Mishra ji. Soft skills do not come softly, but by practicing harder. You can acquire MA degree, PhD degree from any institution. You can acquire, you can take a physical paper of degree certificate from any university, but the soft skill, your way of speaking, your reaching to the student, your gift of gab. These are some of the uncommon things, extraordinary things. You have to develop these abilities. You can acquire a sheet of paper from the university, degree certificate from the university, but there is no university, there is no school, there is no college which teaches you how you can speak, how you can put your eyeballs in front of your students, how you can stand on the stage, how you can speak on the microphone. These are some of the things a teacher should develop. These are not innate abilities. You have to take birth and then you have to develop them. It is not one-day job, my dear friends. A student needs to carve out these skills by practicing, practicing, practicing. And at last, once again, I would like to say that I use my vernacular language. जैसा मैं कहता हूं वैसा तू लिख. मिश्रा जी, जैसा मैं कहता हूं वैसा तू लिख, बाद में मेरे जैसा तू दिख. All our students are the reflections of a teacher. We want to see our reflection in our students. It depends upon them how they take us, how they grasp us. So thank you very much. Thank you very much to each everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Jinendra sir. That's a wonderful, what I call it as a reflection of your thoughts and the literary satsang ideology. And thank you, Gansham sir. Literally, I'm mentioning it. This is a satsang. Now, I think moving from forming stage to storming stage, and it's going to enter into norming stage. I think according to team dynamics provided by Binod Mishra sir. Sir, you have added value to this session, sir. Binod Mishra, thank you so much. I'm really honored to be part of this session. And the session is over to Indrani. And
Thank you, ma'am.
At
the end of this session, behalf of iSPELL, I would like to extend my sincere thanks to
Indrani,
Dr.
before that, request
Yes,
Promote to display the certificates.
Yes, sir. I request Pramod sir to please display the certificate.
Yeah, friends, indeed, it's a great Sunday, not a fun Sunday, but it was really filled with all the skills, the soft skills. And moreover, during COVID time, what the most important skill we require is the adversity skills. And adversity skill comprises of all the skills what Dr. Mishra has talked about. Dr. Mishra is a seasoned campaigner as far as the soft skills are concerned, and a very long-standing friend of mine, and the dramatics that he uses in his deliberations and the way he uses his words and dialogues and sentences, they are really appreciable. At the same time, the way he has taken the entire session and the way he has moved all of us sitting in the same boat and rowing the boat and reaching the port, for that, iSPELL is truly honored. So this certificate goes to you for your deliberations on soft skills, which is really soft but very hard to learn. But we will try our level best to learn it. And if we learn, then take out L, what remains is earn. The one who learns can earn better. So this certificate goes to you. And always, being the chairperson, it's the toughest task, because the chairperson cannot go anywhere. The chairperson has to listen each and every words of the speaker. And Jinendra Jain, with full patience, has listened everything. And he has used his own way of presenting his thoughts with the help of some of the couplets in Hindi. He is a very good writer. At the same time, he is a very good poet also. So with all these, this certificate goes to Mr. Jinendra Jain for chairing the session in such a wonderful way. Thank you very much, Dr. Jinendra Jain.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Most welcome, sir. This certificate goes to the Master of Ceremonies, Dr. A. Shobharani, who is always ready to shoulder the responsibilities. And the responsibilities are what? It's nothing but response to your own abilities. Every individual has the ability, and one who responds to the abilities which he or she has is known as responsibility. So for doing this responsibility, this certificate goes to you, ma'am. And this certificate goes to Indrani Bokar for being the moderator of this particular session. And she is the one who initiated the process, and she has taken us to a greater level also. So this certificate goes to Miss Indrani. We would like to see doctor in front of your name as a prefix soon. So wish you all the very best. Over to Indrani.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you,
at the-
Ghanshyamji.
At the end of this session, I would like to extend my sincere thanks on the behalf of iSPELL to Dr. Binod Mishra for his excellent session. I also thank our today's chairperson, Dr. Jinendra Jain, for his insight on this session. I thank Master of Ceremonies of today's event, Dr. A. Shobha Rani, for her great deliberation. I thank event coordinator, Dr. Ashok Sachdeva, for coordination of such an informative and useful session. I thank Dr. G. A. Ghanshyam, founder and general secretary of iSPELL India, for his constant motivation. I extend my sincere thanks to Dr. Jyoti Patil, President iSPELL India, for organizing such useful and important sessions on various topics. And last but not the least, I thank all the participants for their patient listening and participation. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
to all.
Indrani, we
Thank
have
you.
with us Professor NDR Chandra also from the Northeast. I have just seen him. His name is there, and even Anupama Bohra ma'am is there from Jammu. So all these people have joined us. Even Dr. Varghese KJ is there from Kerala. So many of the people have joined this session. So thanks to each one of them from the bottom of the heart of iSPELL. Stay safe, stay healthy, keep your family intact, keep yourself intact so that we can keep on having this Sunday literary satsang on all the Sundays. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot, Mishra ji. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
My
I
thanks to
appreciate-
all the present here on behalf of iSPELL. Thank you.
And finally, sir, I wish this iSPELL moves to the stage of performing in a very short span of time. I look forward
Thank you,
to
sir, for giving
seeing
the
that.
opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you.